getting going. Okay, you're good? I keep wanting to pull it to still. Good evening. We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. At this time, our clerk will read the roll.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Holland,
Aye.
Hamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik, Mosley,
Aye.
Neal,
Here.
Homobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
All members are present.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, would you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Pastor Jacob Young, who's the pastor of Cornerstone Church. Immediately following our prayer, I'm going to ask if Councilman Lombardo will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Jesus, we come to you and we thank you for the privilege of living here in this land that, even with all of its flaws, is still a homeland of great purpose and beauty. We thank you for the city of Akron and its significant and moving history, its vibrant and purposeful present, and its hopeful and its inspiring future. Jesus, we thank you for the leaders in this room this evening who have the hearts and the capabilities to lead in a way to get the kind of results that we know we need as a city. We're grateful for every one. We're thankful for the unique gifts and the passions that they bring to this place. We pray that you would be with them in their deliberations, their discussions, and their decisions. Help them to serve in a way that will always remember the last and the least, the vulnerable, the ones in the margins, the forgotten and the alone. Give them the wisdom to know what is best and the courage to do what is best. May good things be accomplished tonight and in the days ahead. Again, Lord, we thank you for these capable people, for the city council and the staff, the mayor, and for all those who work to make this place that we call home such a wonderful city. May you bless the work that they do for us, and may your kingdom come and your will be done. We pray all of this in your mighty and your powerful name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
And justice for all. Okay. The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided. Are there any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All
Second.
in favor? Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Holland,
Aye.
Fusco, Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Mosley,
Aye.
Neal,
Abstain.
Homobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
The motion to approve the minutes passes 12-0 with one abstention.
We have no items listed on the consent agenda. We do have 3 items up for public hearing this evening. Our clerk will read in item number 1.
Notice is hereby given that the following open comment public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, September 25th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a solid fence and carport at 2015 13th Street Southwest.
Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of council. James and Shannon Painter are proposing to construct a 6-foot-high fence beyond the building line at their property along Harrison Avenue and vary the side yard setback for an existing detached carport. The 6-foot-in-height solid privacy fence would replace a chain link fence and would be placed up to the Harrison Avenue sidewalk. The fence would enclose the side and rear yard of the corner property. The petitioner's driveway is located along Harrison Avenue. As such, a portion of the fence will be angled in order to preserve vision when backing out of the driveway. Also, a single-story aluminum frame carport is within the required 3-foot side yard setback from the west property line. The petitioners are limited by the physical constraints of this corner property. A variance of 1 foot for the carport and new location for the fence should not have a negative impact on the surrounding property. The carport has been there for an extended period of time and kept in good repair by the owner. The traffic engineer does not object to the location of the fence. Planning staff and Planning Commission recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 1? Anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what is the committee's pleasure?
Thanks. I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Baylor.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Thanks. The report of the committee is favorable. We're asking for passage.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules?
Suspension of the rules.
Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. We heard the report from Mr. Antonucci. I know the ward council persons looked into this in favor of it, so we recommend approval this evening.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following open comment public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, September 25th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct an attached garage addition at 2232 Goodyear Boulevard.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. David and Barbara George are requesting permission to vary the side yard setback for a handicap-accessible garage addition. The single-story garage addition measures 22 feet in width and will extend 12 feet west from the back of the garage to within 6 inches of the side property line. It will be designed to be aesthetically compatible with the existing house and will not encroach upon the required rear yard. A variance of 4.5 feet should not have a negative impact on the neighboring church. The addition of a handicap-accessible garage will allow the current residents to continue living in their home and will not be intrusive to neighboring properties. The planning staff and planning commission recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 2? Anyone here wishing to speak in favor or against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what is the committee's pleasure?
I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer.
Aye.
Connor. Baylor.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Thanks. The report of the committee is favorable. We're asking for passage. I know the department, commission, and the ward person is in favor, so we're recommending approval.
Thank you so much. If there are no objections to suspension of the rules have been suspended. Councilman Neal, did you have a comment? You're good? Did you have a comment? Okay. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following open comment public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, September 25th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a parking lot at 921 Cordova Avenue for the Maple Valley Resource Center at 1474 Copley Road.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. The city proposed to construct a parking lot to serve patrons of the proposed Maple Valley Resource Center at 1474 Copley Road. In addition, a 20-foot by 112-foot section of the alley between the new parking lot and the resource center would be vacated to connect the parking to the building and unify the site. The Maple Valley Resource Center is proposed along Copley Road to provide essential needs for the neighborhood, such as a financial institution and cafe. It would also have programming to teach financial literacy and other workshops to citizens as well as the ability to use the space for an entrepreneur incubator, event space, and other work-study space. The center would be served by the proposed hard surface parking lot. There are currently there would be 17 parking spaces. There are currently 8 parking spaces, including 2 handicapped, along the west side of the building. A 6-foot solid fence and landscaping will surround the parking lot to provide screening between it and the residentially zoned property. The vacation and expansion of a parking lot for the Maple Valley Resource Center fulfills objectives of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan and Great Streets Program by providing public services to help meet the needs of residents within the neighborhoods. Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval.
Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 3? Anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what is the committee's pleasure?
I'd like to pull the committee to refer this item. Kamer?
Aye.
Connor? Baylor?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Yeah, the committee would like to refer this item. I know Councilman Neal has some concerns and wanted to take a little bit more time to study this.
Okay, thank you so much. This item will be referred. That concludes our public hearings for this evening. We'll continue with our old business, planning and economic development. Councilman Fusco.
Time on 4 through and including 19. The committee wishes to file 20 and 21. And then time on the balance of the agenda. Thanks.
Time will be granted. That concludes our old business. We're now going to move into new legislation.
Item number 1, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent on behalf of the Akron Municipal Court to enter into a contract or contracts with Ullman Electronic and Technology Services for audio recording, visual technology equipment, as well as installation services for the Ocasek courtrooms and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee's report's favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This will allow the city to move ahead with equipment for the Ocasek Court, and with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor, Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco, Holland,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Mosley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 2, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent on behalf of the Akron Municipal Court to enter into a contract or contracts with B in Court DBA Connected Justice for the dismantling, decommission, and installation of audio recording equipment to be transferred from the Stubbs Building courtrooms to the Ocasek courtrooms and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Very similar to our last piece. This, however, will provide for Bell End Court DBA Connected Justice to dismantle some of the old equipment, reinstall some of that equipment, and with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor, Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco, Holland,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Mosley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0.
Councilman New, are you motioning to me for comment?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. I just want to repeat what I asked this afternoon. If these come before us, and I understand we're going with companies that have already done this, but we always get requests, and we've also been charged by the Brookings Institute report to increase the inclusion in our bidding process for minority companies and more specifically, black-owned companies. If we can work to have something presented to us before we go into the capital budget on how we plan to be intentional in that way, it would be good. I mean, the thing that stands out, I think we all got the email from Ms. Carla Matthews, who came down and shared her concern about how to participate in the ARPA housing project. Now, Ms. Matthews is highly qualified because she served in that capacity with the Urban League. So she knows what to look for, she knows the questions to ask. And if we're really going to be intentional, it'd be good that we answer her questions and have some kind of process in place before we go into the capital budget. Because what I would like to see is in the future when we have these projects, and we've talked about it on more of the construction end, but in everything. If we're going to go with a company because it makes just good sense because they've done it before, that we require that they bring in a new company, one that meets whatever demographic we're trying to have more inclusion in our bidding process, be a part of that project. That's the only way we're going to grow this and meet our goals and objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Neal.
Item number 3, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to negotiate, enter into, execute, and deliver agreements and/or other documents in connection with the sale and development of a vacant residential parcel located on Eastland Avenue, consisting of approximately .10 acres of city-owned land located between Wellington and Bethany Avenue and existing as Summit County Parcel Number 6843112, authorizing the sale of said property to Antoinette Mills Battles, determining said property is not needed for public use, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 4, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to negotiate, enter into, execute, and deliver agreements and/or other documents in connection with the sale and development of a vacant residential parcel located on Eastland Avenue, consisting of approximately .10 acres of city-owned land located between Wellington and Bethany Avenue, and existing as Summit County Parcel Number 6843114, authorizing the sale of said property to Cassandra Hill Gunn, determining said property is not needed for public use, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the vacation of a portion of Poe Avenue and to enter into a development agreement with FF Reserve LLC, Fleet Fast Solutions, as approved in PC 2022-80 S&V, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
I think you had suspension of the rules. You still want that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. For number 5? Okay. Report of the committees for suspension of the rules. Favorable report.
Okay. Are there any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. This is a development agreement for some land area near the Fleet Fast Solutions on Poe Avenue, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman. Fusco.
Yes.
Holland.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik. Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 6, offered by Fusco, ordinance accepting a replat for the Riverwood Golf Course Apartments on the south side of Akron Peninsula Road and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 7, offered by Fusco, ordinance accepting a vacation plat for the remainder of Ewing Court west of Adolph Street and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 8, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a grant agreement or agreements with the University of Akron to assist with the rehabilitation and transformation of the Polsky Building located at 225 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda?
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 9, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with the Greater Akron Chamber of Commerce to provide economic and neighborhood development, marketing, and promotional services for the purposes of job creation, investment, retention, and expansion of existing companies in the city of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 10, offered by Mosley, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to apply for and, if awarded, accept and sign the grant agreements between the Federal Aviation Administration, Ohio Department of Transportation, and the City of Akron for the new perimeter fence at the Akron-Fulton Airport and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Mosley?
Thank you, Madam President. Consent agenda, please.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 11, offered by Mosley, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for and, if awarded, accept and expend grant funding from the Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation SMART Grant with the U.S. Department of Transportation, and to enter into a contract or contracts and/or purchase agreements or purchase orders pursuant to fulfill the grant obligations and goals by publicly advertising for bids, receiving quotes, proposals, self-performing work, and the direct purchase without advertising for bids for specific equipment and services, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Mosley?
Yes, the committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Nothing further.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Holland,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Mosley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. 11A, offered by Mosley, ordinance approving the report of the Assessment Equalization Board selected pursuant to Section 53.03 of the Code of Ordinances of the City and Resolution Number 182-2023 to hear and determine all objections to the special assessments for the improvement of Wiltshire Road between the termini of Sand Run Road and North Hawkins Avenue, Zurich Road between the termini of 40 feet west of Summerhill Drive and Balmoral Drive, Paulson Drive between the termini of Rocky Hollow Drive and 450 feet north of Rocky Hollow Drive, Rockwood Drive between the termini of the west cul-de-sac and the east cul-de-sac, Rocky Hollow Drive between the termini of 70 foot west of Rocky Ridge Drive and Shady Ledge Drive, Shady Ledge Drive between the termini of Rocky Hollow Drive and the west cul-de-sac, Stoner Street between the termini of Juneau Avenue and Crestview Avenue, Cortland Avenue between the termini of Hawkins Avenue and Hartford Avenue, Hazel Street between the termini of Bank Street and 800 feet east of Bank Street, Goodyear Boulevard between the termini of Johns Avenue and 510 feet east of Johns Avenue, and North Arlington Street between the termini of 70 feet south of Munson Street and 460 feet north of Forge Street by the repair of concrete pavement, determining to proceed with the improvement and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Mosley?
Consent agenda, please.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 12, offered by Freeman and Lombardo, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for and, if awarded, accept and expend grant funding from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund grant and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman?
I believe we'd ask for suspension of the rules on this.
That's correct.
I'm going to ask, so the committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules. And I've asked Mr. Luddle if he would just give us a brief explanation due to the fact that I think he can do it much better than I can. So thank you, Mr. Luddle.
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Yes, this is 20 acres of city-owned land in Ward 2. And with our watershed staff and our staff in the mayor's office, Emily Collins, and our grant manager, they're going after this grant to churn these 20 acres of green space. We're going to preserve them and create some trails for the abutting neighbors. With our parks walkability study, the people in the adjacent neighborhoods, we like to be able to get within 10 minutes, get them to a place where they can recreate. They do not have this currently. So this will give them an area where we will create a parking lot for about 10 cars, an ADA trail, which we paved for about a half a mile. Then we'll build some steps, and then there'll be another half-mile trail for the neighbors. That will be made out of, that will be out of the stone chips like you see on Metro Parks. So this grant will allow us to purchase all the material necessary to build these trails, and with our public works staff and our parks maintenance staff, we will put these trails in. We have purchased equipment in the last few years with the issue 4 money to be able to do this. So this project here will enhance the neighborhood, the walkability for the neighbors in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Yep, and as we listened today, we all agreed this is a good place for this walking trail, nothing in proximity to that. So with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. Councilman Lombardo, do you have any comments?
Sure, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, definitely in favor of this. Ward 2, like Mr. Little said, people, deserve to have a place to recreate within 10 minutes of their home, but the streets around this particular walking trail, the streets don't even have sidewalks. So as I said today, this would be definitely a bonus for them and a bonus for Ward 2 and all of Akron. Thank you.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor, Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco, Holland,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Mosley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 13, offered by Kamer, resolution encouraging the City of Akron Parks and Recreation Department to require the submission of a safety plan with all community event permit applications and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Consent agenda, please.
Thank you. This item will be placed on the consent agenda. That does conclude our new legislation for this evening. We're now going to move to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you are here and have signed up to participate, I'm going to ask that you please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do." Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, when you hear your name, I'm going to ask that you please approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. We're going to begin with Trenton Chaplin.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for having me. Just got a quick note about the downtown vision and redevelopment plan. Is there anything of significance coming to fruition in the next few months? I saw that the 2022 plus addendum was created a little while ago, but I have not heard or seen anything of significance lately, and I just wanted to hear anything on the coming years, or because it's a 10-year plan and nothing has come.
Okay. So Trenton, after the meeting, Mr. Ludlow will be more than happy to meet with you.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Gerald Gregory.
Good evening. Gerald Gregory, 649 Fulton. I'm concerned about this gun violence. I experienced some with my niece the other night, just bringing me a pop to the house. These guys was coming up the street with infrablue ray guns pointed at her car, and I called the police about it, but we need more, some kind of protection over in that area, because gun violence in that area done got so heavy, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? By Manchester Road and Expressway area, gun is just shooting is going on crazy. It's too much. I was trying to find out what can we do about it. I want to know how to get those cameras though that can go on your doorbell there. Maybe I can get one of those on mine if you can lead me to it. But we got to find some sort of solution to these kids flashing these guns at the cars while they're going up the street. It ain't making no sense, you know. But Well, I
Thank
don't know
you.
what to do about it. But
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. And after the meeting, I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
okay.
Stephanie Schreiber.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I had 3 things on my agenda this evening. One is the City of Akron is hosting the marathon this Saturday. We're having 8,000 participants. I live in University Park, Ward 3. I am aware of this because my council person had the police officer talk at our local council meeting. There are no signs in Brown Street in University Park indicating that that is the route the runners are going to go. I am here to please ask for signage. It's this Saturday. Please help us understand that we're going to be shut down. And with that, I know that this event benefits the entire city, and I think that's great. You know, I was there supporting Steve Marks from the very beginning, but now it's huge, which is wonderful. And so I want to know how it does benefit our city in terms of its economic resources. And furthermore, since this affects all the residents in the city of Akron, I'm wondering if you can't have a celebration party for us, maybe an event at Lock 3 for free. Like, thank the citizens for supporting the city in their efforts for this marathon. The other item I had is I still had a follow-up question with my water problem, but I'm happy to tell you Mr. Little approached me, so we'll address that afterwards. Third thing, it's been a very watery or rainy season and very hot. And have you noticed that the mosquitoes are really biting during the day? So I was wondering if there was any plans for spraying or what that's about. So that's it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Little will be able to maybe provide some information about the mosquitoes and the spraying, okay?
Okay, thank
As
you.
well. Lillian Barnes.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry, I've been busy. Okay, today was one of the saddest things that we could have heard about the Stafford's brother. As we all seen, one went to jail, and we as the community feel like it was a retaliation because the family did not get what they wanted, manslaughter for these young men. I sat in that trial as media coverage, as you all know, that I'm also part of a media, and I watched, and I listened, and I wrote everything in verbatim of everything, who said what, how it was said, the smirks and everything else, how the family acted during out this trial. I know it's emotional for both sides of the family, but they should not have been charged at all because they were the ones who was minding their own business, playing basketball, doing what young men and young kids do. They went and started this stuff. I'm asking now for council to find a legislation to where our kids are not just playing with these toy guns because they're not safe. My kids had one, guess what? I threw it away. I threw it away. And I didn't buy it. They got it off the streets. So we need to figure out how to keep our kids safe and keep them involved. And once again, I don't feel like they should be, one of the brothers should not be in jail. I feel like they should not have been charged for this. So we need to find some type of law to where these kids cannot sit up here and continue to do things. We just say the statement, say, oh, because they went to jail, if we squat or splat somebody else, we won't go to jail neither if they came up to their self-defense and standing their ground. So we're not sending no good messages out here right about now in this community. Then also I've been covering and advocating for a young lady that's here with me tonight because I asked her to come and they was told that she didn't have to sign in, so I hope you guys will allow her to speak as well. But anyway, her husband has been racially profiled. They lost her home. They've been, for 15 months, they've been, her husband been assaulted by the prosecutors in open court in front of the family. They've been filing complaints. He's incarcerated right now, and they're houseless. So we shouldn't be going through this stuff neither. It was all according to fraud and everything. Then one more statement. My daughter will be speaking tonight about her new school. And I'm came here and asking you guys to also listen to our kids when they speak. My daughter has been coming down here as much as she could and speaking. I'm very proud because she's advocating for herself and for her peers as well. And she became student ambassador for her new school. She's on a cheer squad. She became, you know, she goes to Millbury, so she's wearing these Harry Potter type of team things, became team leader. I'm sorry. But they're doing a fundraiser. We need some sponsors to help them get some funding for their school. So I hope you guys can figure out how to get some sponsors because they're struggling on getting some money to support our youth at the school.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Barnes. And we'll be happy to talk with you after to see if we can provide some help, okay?
All right, thank you.
Kesmaya?
Well, how you say my name is Kazima, but
Kazima, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, hi. I'm speaking on how basically y'all really want us young people to stay off the streets and not get into a lot of trouble with gun violence and other things. And also be staying in school. Another thing is there's a lot of charter schools that is out in Akron and other states, other places, and that not a lot of people have heard of. And my school is one of them. I go to Middlebury Academy. I'm in the 7th grade, and I would love to have my school to be heard of and for it to be sponsored for funding and school activities. So please start supporting all schools so we young people could stay busy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I do believe we have one individual who signed up to participate online.
We did have somebody sign up, Madam President, but they have not joined the meeting.
Okay. So that concludes our public comment period. Your name is not on my list, so I will. So I'm going to allow you an opportunity to speak tonight, but we do have a process that you do have to sign up before 7 o'clock in order to speak, okay? So you can approach the podium. I'll give you 3 minutes tonight. Thank you. You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Hi, my name is LaShonda. My husband's name is J.C. Sanders. Back in March of 2022, there was a fraud committed against me. I'm trying not to cry, but I ended up filing a lawsuit against the company I took out a title loan with. They defrauded me. I filed a lawsuit. They ended up settling with me. As a result of everything that happened, them trying to come and tow my car, my husband ended up getting charged with some very serious charges. They placed him on GPS. They arrested him 5 days later. He was placed on GPS. They told him he couldn't leave the house. We ended up getting evicted. We've been homeless for 8 months. I had to send my kids out of town. They were shot at where we lived at, and the police did nothing. The police was called. They didn't even press charges. The police told me I could not press charges against the person that came and tried to steal our car, and my husband has been going through this mess for 15 months. They never sent him a summons. They never sent him an indictment. They never sent any notices for him to show up for court at all, this whole time. It's been 15 months. He hasn't received any notices, no due process, no anything. And then the prosecutor assaulted him 3 times in court, in front of the judge, in front of his family, and nothing. No one would file charges against him. We went to the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office, they said that there was no video or no camera working in the judge's courtroom, which I find to be lies. The judges, whoever write the journal entries, they're lying on dockets, lying on documents stating that my husband has been requesting hearings when all he's been requesting was them to do everything correctly. Like, I just don't understand. We're victims. I have so much proof of everything. We've spoken to the city council members. We've spoken to the sheriff. We've spoken to a lot of people. We've spoken to lawyers. Like I said, he's been racially profiled, and there's no justice. We're being victimized here, and nothing is happening. No, and people is telling us that there's nothing that we can do about it, and we have everything, we have record of everything that's going on. And it's just sad because it shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. He's being defrauded by the state with everything that's going on. And he's being told he has no constitutional rights. He's being treated like he's a slave of the state. And I'm just trying to figure out where is all this coming from and why we can't get any help.
Okay. Listen, thank you for sharing. If you'll stay after the meeting,
Yes,
we'll talk to you and see what we can maybe do to help, okay?
yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. That concludes our public comment period for this evening. We're now going to move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Freeman.
2 p.m.
Public Safety, Councilman Kamer.
2:15.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman.
3 p.m.
Parks and Rec, Councilman Lombardo.
1:45.
Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco. Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilwoman Mosley.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Freeman.
2:45.
Is there anything else coming before council at this time? Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read Sunday's paper. Beacon Journal did an several in-depth articles in regards to the gun violence that's in our community. The one that's most concerning is where it says, "I don't want to bury my children. Akron's gun violence becomes commonplace." And this one where it says, "Data creates a grim picture," says black males fill the morgues at a rate of 5 times that of the general population. I think 75% of those who die from gun violence, from homicide, 75% are young black males. That's not the only reason why I'm passionate when I stand up here, but it's one of the main reasons. This article, it talks about a lot of the problems, which most of us know. We may not have the exact data, but we understand. And it talks about the economic impact of violence. And this council did something that was good. We passed the medical debt relief, $500,000. When we talk about economic impact, I want to share with you. One family, one young man was in the hospital just shy of 3 months. That $500,000 was gone just with that. If we were, just to put it in perspective, doesn't even touch that young man's medical bill. And doesn't touch the medical expenses that that family is going to have to deal with from here on out. I'm saying that to say we've got to understand that we have to do something to change the systematic way we've been addressing violence in our community. Hopefully we could get them in before this council, but next Tuesday at my ward meeting, Dr. Curtis Kojo-Williams, who's with Minority Behavioral Health, is going to speak on an initiative that the juvenile court system, because he works with Judge Tidiocio, the ADM board, and those in that circle are using the collaborative wraparound model with this initiative. It's just one of many that are going to be needed, because there isn't one fix for this. But I want to invite those who have been struggling to understand what this wraparound support is about, what collaboration is about, to come to my ward meeting next Tuesday to hear from Dr. Curtis Williams and learn about this initiative that Juvenile Court, ADM Board, and all of those are supporting as one way to engage the community to proactively address violence in our community. Again, it's not the answer, but it's part of the answer. And when we say wraparound support, I want to say this just to give people an idea. You can buy all kind of software for your computer, but if you don't have the operating system, Windows 11 or whatever, that makes it possible for all those different software programs to work together and communicate, you're not going to be able to maximize your investment. Right now, we funded a lot of organizations, but we do not have a common operating system by which we can leverage the collective work. Because Voices Over Violence, working with the juvenile court system, the ADM board, and all those other organizations that are a part of that, understand what it means to work collaboratively and provide wraparound support. It is the start of the answer for us to address violence in this community. Because the only way to address it is by empowering those who are directly impacted by the problem. Not folks who come in, they get a job, they work 9 to 5, and then they go home. I'm talking about the people who live in the community, who have to deal with the gunshots at night, who have to fear about burying their baby. So again, next Tuesday at the Ward 4 meeting which should be named by now the Judge James R. Williams Community Center. We're waiting on the sign, but right now it's still the Lawton Community Center. I invite you to come out and hear from Dr. Williams, and hopefully we can get him here under the Health and Human Services Committee with Sister Amobian so he could come and share with council. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Anything else coming before council? One second, Councilman McKittrick?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to touch base. We're talking, my colleague was just talking about public safety. Last week, myself, a few of my colleagues, I know I saw Councilwoman Mosley, I saw Councilman Malik there, I know Councilman Fusco was there. We had some promotions in our safety forces. In the morning, we had promotions, 7 promotions in the fire department. Deputy Chief Cow was promoted to Deputy Chief, well deserved. And we had some other 7 total promotions in the fire department. And then we had 5 promotions within the police department, 2 sergeants, a lieutenant, and 2 captains. And well deserved, Captain Miller promoted to captain. It was fun to be able to be there and watch these folks willing to step up and serve. And then Friday, we had 34 new police cadets that graduated from the department, a few of which are fire investigators as well. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman McKittrick. So again, congratulations to all those who were promoted. Again, I was there too, to witness, yes, Captain Michael Miller, so thank you again. Congratulations to everyone on their promotions. If there's nothing more, we're going to have a motion for adjournment. Motion to adjourn. No objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.